So, hey, Orsons. Self-Worth School is back in session. Guest teacher today is Stefanie Carlstedt, a certified high performance coach and human design expert. I'm really excited to have her on today. We're going to be talking about becoming more connected to yourself from a kind of spiritual and really a number of different ways. Stephanie, you are our guest teacher today. Can you start by telling us a little about you? What do you do? Who you do it with? And how you came to start helping women reconnect with themselves through spirituality and human design.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. And I always say that I feel like I've always been someone who didn't quite fit into the norm. I didn't ever feel quite right, but I followed the trajectory. I went to school, I got the degrees, I got the perfect job, and almost immediately I realized this wasn't for me. I felt like I was shrinking. I felt unheard. I felt invalidated. I just didn't feel seen. Then my dad was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's not too long after I got this dream job. And it was one of those moments where I got back to work that day and I was put into my office because I was crying and she told me to come out when I was done. It was that moment that I realized I no longer want to be in this box. I no longer want to follow the normal trajectory. And I left that job, not really knowing what was next, but knowing that I had a lot to offer and believed that. And I wanted to be there for my dad as his diagnosis progressed. I jumped into the online world. I really forced myself in and built a big business. And 10 years later, that business completely crumbled. I lost my dad and that business in the same month. And that is when grief cracked me wide open. I woke up to the fact that even in that new business, that online business adventure, I had fallen back into the norm. I had fallen back into how people tell us we have to build businesses, what quote unquote successful means, going viral, having these trends, these tactics that we're supposed to do. So I'd fallen back into it. And after losing that business and my dad, I realized that I was not who I wanted to be. I was bitter. I was overwhelmed. I was frustrated. But inside, I was not who I wanted to be. And that's when human design was laid in my lap. My sister-in-law sent me a text and she said, "Do you know your human design?" I said, "No, and I think it's fluff, but I'll just check it out." I sat on my couch, read my design, and teared up. It was the first time that I felt seen, validated, heard, and that I was not wrong for feeling the way I felt my entire life. And I know now what I'm meant to do, and it's not the norm. It is completely different than that. And I'm here to shout that from the rooftops and connect other women to what they're here to do, how they're here to move, live, the environments they thrive in. Your human design literally lays it all out.
So, what do you do? How do you actually do that with women? What kind of process do you take them through?
Yes, I actually have several different avenues. I look at human design as so unique that I don't have a cookie cutter package. Most of my work is helping women go deep into their human design with my one on one readings. And then we can extend that for long term coaching to integrate that into life, parenting, business, all the things. I do have a self-paced self-study course where people can go through it on their own and go through it for their family and those they love. I believe that understanding yourself first is the key to success in every area of life. And then understanding those around you is going to really skyrocket that success and
Mhm.
that feeling of validation and just feeling seen and heard.
Yeah, you're so right on that point. I really feel like the basis of knowing yourself inside and out is key to so many areas of your life. If you don't know that, then it's hard to build one that feels aligned and is one that you'd be really good at. And like say, human design is a really interesting of that identity. And we'll dive into that a little bit more in a second. But so many of my clients, we're talking about that disconnection. You felt that you've had clients come to you with that. I've had clients as well come to me feeling like they've lost touch with who they really are. They're making decisions based on what they feel like they should be doing. A little bit like you said, we have this idea of this is how life goes. You study, you get a job, you grow up, you get married, you progress in this job, you do X, Y, and Z. So a lot of people are doing things based on what they should be and wanting to be a good parent, good wife, good partner, whatever that might be. Why do you think so many women struggle with that disconnection from self and not knowing who they really are, feeling that misalignment, doing stuff that doesn't feel true to them?
Yeah. Well, the biggest piece of it is that we have been failed by society and we have been given this map that we're supposed to follow that is quote unquote normal, right?
Mm.
That completely disconnects us to who we were designed to be. And, my podcast is titled Before the World Told You Who to Be, because that's what I'm here to help people do is find themselves before the world told you who to be. And that's why we feel so disconnected, because the parenting books, the education system, that everything we're reading and have learned up until this point has given us a specific rule book, a specific way of doing things. It's my mission to get this in the school systems, the college systems, the corporate world, everything, because it is a new era right now. If you feel this shift, you might be feeling that everything else is breaking down. The political systems, the medical system, the healthcare systems, the education systems, it's breaking down. It's all about going internal. And if we are going to become a world of humanity that really thrives and gets past this struggle, then we have to know ourselves, because we each have a design that fits perfectly into the puzzle of humanity. And it's time for us to come home. That's why we have felt so disconnected, because we are following everybody else and it's fighting against our design.
Yeah, so it's literally trying to be the same as each other
Yeah.
in a way, or fit into, like say, what society says you do, rather
Yeah.
than living our unique purpose, goals, and what have you. And that's why people are feeling disconnected, because they're living in a way that they're not meant to. And where do you see this showing up most in women's lives? The majority of women that come to me are probably in their career, they've become moms, or they've been through some shift at work, perhaps. When we make parenthood or work such a huge part of our identity, when something happens to that or when we become disconnected from that, it can be a huge shift. Where
Yeah.
would you say you see it showing up most in women's lives? Is it work, relationships, health, parenthood, identity? Where do you see it having the biggest effect?
I would say career, but also parenthood and relationships. Career, it's funny because I work with a lot of clients who are 50s and 60s who their kids are maybe out of the house and they're like, now what? I have a job that I don't like and I don't like myself because I'm so disconnected. And so it's really just helping them come home to their design and understand how they're meant to move, live, love, lead. And through that, they start to come alive again. And it's really cool to see. So I think that's why I'm passionate about corporate teams and helping them so people don't feel so lost and burnt out. That's not normal. We've been taught that it's normal,
Mm.
to feel, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm exhausted. And then, everyone else is like, me too. It's not normal. And then parenting too. For me, personally, I felt like I was failing as a parent. I'm like, why is this child like this and this child is like this? I'm following the parenting books. I'm doing the things that I've been taught. But then I realized that I have a projector child and I have a manifesting generator child, and they are completely opposite, like night and day. Now I understand that better. And I don't feel like I'm doing something wrong or they're doing something
Mm.
wrong, because I understand that. So that's a big one too.
Yeah, massive perspective as well, and way to or potential way to understand, like I said, your children or people that you're in relationships with, and understanding why one child might be like this, and when they've had the same nurturing, you think, have I not loved that enough? Or questioning everything that you're doing. That's actually quite a nice segue into the next part of the lesson. Having you mention your kids to main energy types. So for somebody who has never heard of human design, or maybe they've heard of it but they don't really know about it, how would you, if you were going to give someone like the 101 in human design, how would you describe it in simple, non-jargony terms? I know it's quite a complicated beast, but if you were going to give it like the core things that someone needs to know, tell us about human design.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, first of all, let's get this out of the way when it's not, because I think a lot of people and a lot of my clients think that human design is another test like Enneagram, Myers Briggs, or Strengths Finders.
Mhm.
And those are all questions from a conditioned mind, the mind that has been through upbringing, societal conditioning, trauma, you know, external influences. And So when you get to that result of that test, whatever you call it, is it really you or just the conditioning that's playing out? So human design is completely different. It was created by someone who is a manifestor in human design. He had this vision and spiritual knowing to create this. It's based on ancient modalities and it's been changed and there's been energy types added as the years have went on, but he was the initial person of it. That's what manifestors do. They initiate something new and then the rest of us take it and do what we need to do with it. But it's literally, I say, written in the stars for you. It is your birth time, birth date, birthplace, exactly that time, and 3 months prior to that. And that is how your chart is created. I have had 600 people get my free chart reading, and not one has come back and said that this is not them. I've had happy tears, validation. People just finally feel seen. And it's so amazing. And it's so eye opening. And it lets you live the way you're meant to live and stop feeling bad for it.
Awesome. So give us a quick check in on the five energy types so people can start hearing them and thinking, oh, that sounds a bit like me.
Okay, so the highest level of your human design is your energy types. There are so many nuances within your design, but the highest level is your energy type, which are there's 5 of them. So we'll start with the generators, who are what I call the life force of the world. They are the energy being. If they are doing what they love, they have so much energy to do it, almost like they have to turn themselves off at night because they can just go, 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 go. They like a step-by-step process, the light side of their design. Now, if they're living in the shadow side, they are at a job following a system, a structure that they don't love, that takes their light, right? They feel dissatisfied, they feel frustrated. And as a generator, we need you because you have such massive energy. We need you to do what lights you up because if you don't, you are taking the energy from all those around you. I have a couple generator clients who have said to me that they don't like their job. And that has bled out to their family life, that has bled out to every aspect, their health, their well being. And so, as a generator, you have lots of energy, but you have to use it in a good way. Otherwise, you will fall into the shadow side.
And generators, aren't they? That's the most common energy type.
Yes, the most common energy type is generators, 37% of the population. But again, there's so many nuances underneath.
Yeah.
This is just the highest level.
Yeah.
So the next one is manifesting generator, which is me. The reason that I felt so disconnected to the normal trajectory of life, I am not meant to do the same thing every day. I am meant to pivot quick, skip steps, fall down a lot, and get back up and scream from the rooftop what actually works. So, if you're a business owner or if you're a parent, whatever that might be, don't feel bad for liking to do podcasting over here and maybe liking this little piece over here and this up here. Like you're kind of a squirrel and that's
Yeah.
your design, right? You're not meant to be in a linear step-by-step process. You're also an energy being. So if you're doing what you love, you have lots of energy. And if you don't, you are frustrated and bitter. Then there's the projectors who are completely opposite. I love projectors. Lots of my clients are projectors. They are, I think, 20-ish% of the population. I'd have to look at the numbers exactly, but they are really here to see people and systems better than they see themselves. They're here to guide, lead, teach from a place of just knowing. They are not an energy being, so they can only work 2 to 4 hours a day on something specific. They can work more efficiently than us manifesting generators, but they do not have that energy. And that is why if they're surrounded by generators, the generators have to be lit up. Because as a projector, you might go into a big room with people or be in an office all day or, go to a big gathering and you come home and you are just so exhausted you can't even function. That is because you have a penetrating aura and you can really take on so much energy from people and you're not an energy being. So naps for you are so normal. Stop feeling bad about it. And so that's a projector. A manifester is someone who is here to initiate a new process. They are here to start something new and allow the other energy beings to pick it up and move with it. They are really, really cool. They're also work in bursts, so they do not have tons of energy. They might have this idea and go, go, go for a day, and then they need to crash for 2
Mm.
days,
So
right?
they're
And
like
so
trailblazers almost.
yeah, reflectors are very rare. I've yet to work with a reflector, and I can't wait till I do, but they are 1% of the population, and they are here to reflect everything back on you and help us see as humanity what we need to change. They reflect you back onto you, and they're kind of a chameleon. And so they can, whatever environment they're in, they can be completely different person. They have to be very mindful of the environment they're in because they can get very easily upset. So the overarching view of the 5 types.
Awesome, thank you. And like I said, there's so many nuances to different human design charts. I know profile is another one that a lot of people talk about. It's basically a combination of characteristics and how they come together. You mentioned a few times about environments that you thrive in, even your strongest sense in terms of all of our senses. When you put together these super individual charts, it paints a picture of who you are or who you could be as a person.
Yes.
So can you share a personal example? You started talking about it at the beginning, but in terms of how you were feeling disconnected to yourself and how this has helped, a way that understanding your own human design has helped you feel more connected to yourself. You talked about that permission of being able to do different things. Is there any other way that it's really helped you or guide you in terms of feeling connected to yourself and to your purpose and who you really are?
Yeah, so it's interesting because in your human design, you have something called your life's purpose or your core four, your incarnation cross. It really makes up 70% of who you are. And I have the exact incarnation cross of this new era, which is very rare, and which means that I am here to shout it from the rooftops that we have to come home to ourselves, that this is a new era. And that's what I'm here to do. So I think that all my clients, when I read them their life's purpose, they just are so excited and it fits
Mhm.
them so well. But we have been inundated with this life's purpose to go to college, get the degree,
Mm.
have kids, get married, do all of these things when we each actually have our unique purpose separate from all of that. So I think for me, it was finding that there's so much more to me than a wife and a mom. I am actually here for a unique purpose that is so cool that I had no idea about until you are willing to step out of that box and look at yourself. You will continue to stay in that box and follow the trajectory. It's the people that take this and really learn themselves that are going to grow and evolve.
Struggle. Yeah, it's so interesting, saying about that incarnation of the cross or what have you. I'm like now thinking, oh, I need to read back on my report and see what it said. But I know I've had a reading from someone before and they said, oh, your purpose is around self love. I mean, that is what I do. But like I say, it's so affirming, especially if it's something you're doing already, of feeling connected to yourself and going, okay, this is why it feels so good. This is why it feels so easy to be doing what I'm doing because this is what I'm kind of programmed to do. Just for anybody that might be feeling, oh, this is a touch woo woo, there is a scientific and astrological underpinnings with human design. It's not just some spiritual dude one day came up and wrote a load of things for everybody. That it is based on both spiritual and scientific principles, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And the more they're finding out about the scientific principles, I challenge people to open their mind to it
Mm.
because when you start to read, it will shift. The men that have come to me, they're the most skeptical of it
Yeah.
all. And I had one person reach back out to me and he was like, when I was reading this, I said out loud, oh my gosh, it's so validating.
Being open to those things, because if we're only ever willing to listen to the things that society have said, this is kind of the whole point, isn't it? The fact that we've kept ourselves in a little box and we'll only listen to people who have X degree or do X, do ABC or what have you. Whereas we're willing to open our minds to the fact that there might be something, might be truth in things that we didn't, we open ourselves up to a lot more opportunity, potential purpose and fulfillment. Okay, so we're coming to the key takeaway part of our lesson, Stephanie. So if somebody listening feels lost or disconnected right now, and perhaps some of this is resonating with them, or they're thinking, okay, maybe there's something in this, I want to check it out. But even just general for the women, anybody that's choosing to listen to this, what like one key mindset shift or one key new perspective that you'd love them to take away from today's lesson? If they took away nothing else, what's that one thing to remember, that one key message that you would want to get across to them?
You are so unique, and you are not like anybody else around you. You're not like your spouse, you're not like your kids, you're not like your boss and your parents. And you have to start being okay with that, right? We have been so conditioned to just be worried about what people would think if we step this way or try this new thing. And so we just continue to shrink and shrink into the system of what we've been taught. I think it's that you have a specific piece of the puzzle to humanity. And until you uncover that, that piece will be missing. It's so powerful to understand that you were given this gift of
Yeah.
uniqueness, and none of us are here to do the same thing, to be the same person. And we have to stop following that.
That's so powerful to just say you have a unique part to play in humanity. It doesn't mean everyone has to be prime minister of the world. That part can be anything on any level, but the fact that everyone has a unique part to play, something unique to give back, some kind of gift to express or give to others, is a lovely and special thing to think about. And
Yeah.
actually ties on very well to the next part of the lesson, which is about self-worth. This is self-worth school, and we're talking about all these ways that you can become your happiest and most confident self. How does understanding yourself at that deeper level, whether it's through human design or other self-awareness tools, being more connected to yourself spiritually, being more self-aware of who you are, help build confidence and worth in your experience?
It's everything. Knowing how you're meant to move through the world, knowing how you are meant to interact with people, where you thrive the best, helps you feel free. You wake up every day knowing that you have a specific purpose, knowing that you have a specific way of interacting with the world, and you become so confident in that. Just an example is that I used to be so nervous to share about my business because nobody else in my family or my friends are entrepreneurs. I'm the only one. And I was so nervous to share that because it was different. And when I realized my design and that I'm actually meant to share that, like we have 9 centers in our design, my throat center is defined, and I'm meant to share my point of view loud. When the more you read into your design, the more you're okay with being you. And that is going to build your confidence tenfold. Nothing else will build your confidence more than being you authentically, not the you that has been molded and shifted into the specific person, but the you that is coming home to yourself before the world told you who to be.
Absolutely. I think you can't build a life that you love or even relationships that you love, be the parent that you want to be, unless you know who you truly are and who you're truly meant to be and how that's meant to be expressed. That foundation of self awareness and self discovery is the foundation from which self worth, relationships, career and purpose, everything starts there. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, so we're coming to the homework part of the session, but this is homework that people actually will enjoy. What would you, in terms of assigning homework to our listeners today, what's one small tangible action or reflection exercise? I know that you've got an amazing free report as well. How could they put some of this that we've been sharing today into practice?
Yeah. Well, I think it does start by knowing your design and getting that free chart. It comes with your body graph, right? So just know that when you look at your body graph, you're going to think it's gibberish. You're not going to have a clue what it means. And then you can download your 12-page PDF that explains the high level of your chart. I also did an audio report for each chart that talks you through a little bit about your energy type. Start there and see if this is something that you want to dive into. And then at the bottom of that PDF, I have my free private podcast where it's a 5-episode podcast, and you can dive into what is human design? Why do I need it? How can it help me? And really get a grasp of that. So those are the 2 things that I would definitely do, because without knowing yourself and knowing what you're designed to do, how you're designed to move, you will continue to be in that struggle, that overwhelm, that frustration.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and offering that to our listeners. We'll make sure the link is shared in the show notes. So, one more question for you, Stephanie. What's one way that you still have to catch yourself when you fall back into old patterns, if that happens, or if you're ever feeling disconnected from yourself? Are there any areas in your life where that happens, and how do you bring yourself back?
I think the area that it happens most is parenting.
Mhm.
Because I am so different from my kids and they have different open centers than I do. They have different energy types. And so it's bringing back the understanding of them
Mhm.
because I know myself pretty deep now, knowing how individual they are also and believing that I have to keep reminding myself that, oh, my projector needs more sleep. It's normal. It's okay. It's not lazy. And so just keeping that in mind and what they're here to do also is crucial.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Sophie, thank you so much for being
You're welcome.
on the podcast. I love the kind of area of human design and spirituality. And I think so many women I know that I speak to or my clients that they're really interested and intrigued by spirituality, but don't always know how to connect with it or where to look. Hopefully, this has given people something tangible to explore and knowledge about who they are. Thank you for being on Self Worth School and being our guest teacher today.
You're welcome.
And I've loved your lesson. So thank you very
Thank
much.
you.